Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, getting away from the community replay to a more monthly replay, this is the monthly tournament. Rang, who do we have today on Orsha East?
On left-hand side in the blue, we have Khers from the Foxes clan, playing as the 2nd Hungarian, I believe, tank division. Anyway, they have a Maverick income. Right-hand side in red, we have Stardekk playing the 7th Mechanized Corps, also we have a Maverick income.
Interesting. You'll tell him what the Foxes will say, but you won't notice the fact that Stardekk over here is in fact a Duke.
Maybe over Rakis?
You know, if that's the case, I'm actually really, really looking forward to the second part of that movie coming out, but now it's not for another year, and there's a piece of me that's just kind of crying on the inside. I'm getting moisture to the dead, man. What can I say? We are seeing an incredible breakout over here from the 7th, as well as over here from the 2nd Hungarians. This is going to be kind of one of those knockdown, drag-out fights. Not because of all the crazy artillery or tanks or things like that, but just because of just the wide breadth of material.
Yeah, I mean, both sides have enough medium as well as heavy tanks available to really make this work out and to be a brawl. I do kind of respect Stardekk buying Matilda. Holy crap, has a lot of Matilda 2s he's brought off the bat. That's more of a, seed investment in a direct impact on the front line here.
When you say seed investment, you mean soon will be put down underneath the sod, I think, right?
Yes. Yes. That type of seed. And, like a bank investment. Those are the only types of seed investments I would make.
That's fair.
Couldn't say about other people.
That's fair. Well, I mean, we can't technically say other types of seeding because, it's technically illegal, but it's besides the point. No file sharing happens here.
No.
Down south, actually, we're going to see, middle south, we're going to see a tiger just beat up on a Dushka carrier, which feels like kicking a puppy.
Yep. And
there's something very, very wrong about that. Truly heinous. That guy should be ashamed of himself.
War is hell.
It is. War is also an ME-210 coming down to bomb the ever-living bejesus out of a 76-2. And it's about 3 acres with it, so.
Yeah, and getting a pretty good hit. And apart from that, it's been a pretty mostly standard opener. Actually more interesting with Khers trying to push a bit more offensively in the center of the map, or the northern center on the hill. Khers is a pretty scratched defense here, which is actually going to benefit Stardekk's slow Matilda push, as by the time its infantry reach the front line, the Matildas are going to be here in time to provide fire support.
Yeah. It's a strange thing. Now, there is still a Terran over here. I'm not suggesting that Terran is going to be the Rock of Gibraltar upon which this entire push breaks. But it'll delay long enough, I think, to bring in something heavier. Perhaps maybe P4. I don't think it'll be the other Tiger necessarily, but be enough time to bring in something else in.
Yeah, because also as well, usually on this map, from Khers' side, you usually want to try to push very heavy on this hill position, because obviously once you capture the hill, you can just put down lanes of fire and completely capture it. But by going for the more central push, which is definitely a little bit more risky and so far hasn't paid off for him, he's losing, he's going to give himself a lot of trouble fighting over that hill later on, especially if that Matilda 2 spam, because that round 2 is going to be a lot about outgunned when it comes to that.
Yep. And that one Lovich over here is just not going to be the most happy of campers either, to be fair.
No.
The first Matilda is coming on in. You might say that all these Matildas are waltzing, but thankfully there is no billabongs or whatever the heck other things are going on here. Of course, there are no other Terrans here either, so.
Yeah. It's really going to, I think, for Khers come down to his Tiger and Pack 40 play, because that does give him the long-range advantage by quite a bit. Because if he can, rear down this town and capture it, that's a pretty good position. You still have to worry about the hill up north, which sucks, but at least you can get infantry into the town position and potentially put a bit more pressure down south.
Well, and put pressure up to the north as well. You could put guys in either T intersection and really do a lot of interdicting, whether it's coming from the east or troops coming from the east going towards the north as well, so. Lots of opportunities here. Unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able to take advantage of them for quite some time, because the 7th Mech over here is just going to capture every single flag known to mankind.
Yeah, No, his Northern push is going fantastic for Stardekk. He's traded effectively. A lot of his dudes are still alive. And that Matilda 2 blob is going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. Seeing Khers, upgun his tanks a little bit, getting a stuck 3G, and he really needs some, proper medium or heavy tank firepower to deal with the, comparatively, I'd say, quite heavy British Matilda 2, especially for the time period.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the 2-pounder one, so don't expect it to be super crazy at killing heavy tanks. But for the lighter Hungarian stuff, this is not too much of an issue. The Stoke 3, on the other hand, technically should be pretty strong against a lot of this.
Yes. Yeah, so if he can definitely get the range advantage as well, he can just start picking off those Matildas one by one.
Actually, what I'm fascinated by is the IS-122 in the middle of the map, because if that Tiger goes down, I think the entire momentum flips in the opposite direction.
Yeah, and the momentum has already been slowed down quite a bit here from Khers. The support guns and just bringing in enough infantry to hold that central town has worked really well for him. And ISU-122 can, I'd say, pretty easily kill that Tiger in a long-range fight. It does have a heckin' big gun, and both have the heckin' same amount of armor.
Indeed. Now, the Terran coming over here to the northern side, he immediately goes down, courtesy of that nice little M1 bazooka. So that's going to be rather deadly. And the Stug 3, I think, is going to run afoul of that Razvedka inside that church. Unless this other Lovich over here is able to put enough firepower on it to take out said church. Make it more holy, as it were. And to the north of the river, well, those guys are just kind of chilling. I mean, and I completely understand why, too. I mean, there's no reason for you to move from east to west or west to east. You want to hold the bridges, and that's really all you care about.
Yeah, for Stardekk, he just needs to hold that central position of the town, and then preferably try to lock down the northern center as well, so you can capture one flag where the free infantry blob is, and then you pretty much just use the hill position to cut down anyone trying to push on through.
I do want to note, while we looked away, the Tiger has in fact died, the ISU-122. Down south as well, there's an Su-85 that's killed another Terran, but there's been a rather plucky push from the Hungarians down here, and it's been very, very effective, I would argue.
Yeah, being able to use the tree cover to his advantage. He also has a Tiger all the way down here as well, which can provide a decent amount of fire support if S-35 does decide to show himself a little bit. So, yeah, this might be a good idea for Khers to just continue investing some more infantry to hook himself around the southern part of the forest.
And yet, I think he kind of misplayed the line of sight over there, which I can understand. But I feel like if you have Hungarian troops, I don't care how wonderful your anti-tank grenade is, you need to play very, very conservatively in those trees. Cut line of sight, break it, and then just go back into the trees. There's no reason to be aggressive. Now, northern side as well, going back over there real quick, we are going to see the Stroke has gone down. And this Matilda is charging at them. It's like an angry rhino or a water buffalo. It's kind of ponderously engaging all of these Loviches as they fall back.
Yeah. But because it's a British infantry support tank from 1940, they weren't smart enough to put high explosive cells in it, so that one Bessa machine gun is gonna have to do a lot of work.
That was always one of those things for me that was just such a weird concept. Because tanks were always, like, that...
Yeah. Yeah, I think, if I recall, it's because the high explosive load on the 2-pounder shell wasn't that large to begin with, so they just never bothered. It's like, the machine gun would be fine. It wasn't fine.
Well, yeah, because that was one of the things, too, because since it was the 2-pounder, the late 2-pounder at that point, it was a different kind of bore overall. It was kind of, I want to say, almost like the predecessor to the Little John kind of idea. The
Little John is basically just a 2-pounder, but with a thingy on the front to make bullet go scree so it goes faster.
Yes, but I mean...
It's like the Hot Wheels booster track, you know?
Oh,
you know exactly what I'm talking about, right, Khan? The Hot Wheels booster track so the car can do the loop-de-loop?
I don't want to say that I do, because at that point I'm really dating myself. No, I absolutely know what you're talking about. I was going to say.
That's the Little John, baby. That's the Little John.
Please, man, if you know what a skip-it is, those came out when I was a kid. Like that's how old I am. Back in the days of the American Empire. MG-34 actually to the northern side. It looks like with the death of any kind of heavier vehicles that the superiors in the Razvedkas think it's time to go from east to west and start their march on Berlin. And they're going to be able to do it, too. The one squad of Arcos over here not going to be able to hold them back. Yes, sir?
Yeah, and just looking back at this first 10 minutes CA phase, this has definitely been a pretty big dub so far for Stardekk. He's been trading effectively, he's got very good geographical ground up north, and he's slowly starting to grind his way up north. There's not a whole lot here from Khers to really do too much. I still think Khers made a bit of a mistake not trying to push that town earlier and just shut it down. Instead, he needs to try to make something happen down south. It seems like what he's going to try and do here is he has a decent amount of troops stationed around his forest.
Well, I do have to say it's kind of funny. Did you see that nice little pyre burning to the northwest of the Turan?
Up north?
Down south, right by the Tiger. They have the two Turans. They have a nice little pyre to the northwest right there. That was 140 points of Hero Panther that took one shot, missed, and got murked on the return fire. So that's painful.
Such is the life of bringing any sort of heavy tank in a 1v1. They'll get shot once and die.
Yeah, they get shot down because they're overzealous, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to play hard to get, and those anti-AT guns will get jealous. That's how it works. Now, for those of you out there who had absolutely no idea what the heck I was just quoting, that was the Bards from Mix-a-Lot. But that's besides the point. Stokes, in the meantime, on the northern side, they're going to start to engage, I think, some of the superiors moving over open ground. And it feels like the Hungarians are really kind of stirring themselves. In Phase B, they're like, you know what? We're both up 170. We get it. It's time to push back, though.
Yeah. The one advantage here for Khers in regards to not trading effectively, it feels like, is the points value isn't really all that bad. It's still pretty even Stevens. And he does now have, those two stuck 3Gs, which if he doesn't, bullseye rush them into the Matilda 2s, they can provide a lot of value here.
Yes, indeed. Technically, the Matilda should not be able to kill them from the front, but,
No, not at long range. If they get close, there's always the possibility.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if I put my gun up against your chassis and I fire, first of all, I better be buying you dinner first, but second of all, yeah, I probably should be able to kill you. Not quite the same with this PE-3 over here. It's going to obliterate the front squad of Lovich's on that hilltop, but nonetheless, pretty strong.
Yeah. The one good position here from Stardekk is he has pulled the Matildas off the hillside and placed them more deeper on the hill. So it's eventually going to have to force Khers to move the Slugs up onto the hill, and that's when Matilda can, of course, use a shorter range to advantage.
That's true. I think for me, I was trying to think about how the Hungarians push back against this. And the only thing I can think of is if they're willing to donate a 75 mil or two, sneak it on in. I think they still have one or two left. I don't think all of them have been killed just yet. Kind of sneak it onto the outside skirts of that town, and maybe just get some sneaky beaky sniping on through. I don't know.
Or off map. Honestly, that town is just asking to get obliterated from an off map artillery strike.
We actually haven't seen a whole ton of off map this entire week, at least certainly thus far. And looking at both the decks today, I mean, there's a 203 that should be called in any time now, I would think. Ooh, the Nimrod. Man, again, such a soft spot in my heart for the Nimrod.
Yeah, I do like Khers. Great job. Every single anti-aircraft piece is Nimrod. You picked the correct choice like 5 times over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I probably would have waited to... Whatever, not important. Anyway. I said there's only so many Nimrods you can keep around, and to wait until Phase B might be a little bit better, but I understand why. But yeah, the Nimrod. Love this thing. Not just because it can technically kill tanks, but just because it's... I feel like mobility in this game is key. You have to be mobile consistently. We didn't see that on Tuesday. We're seeing it much more today, and we're seeing the effect of that positively.
Indeed. And we have finally seen that 105 off-map being brought out here from Foxes or Khers. He does have a decent amount of infantry being brought into position. It seems like, he's not going to rush them in yet, keep him in transport. If he times this right, he can get that foothold back onto that hill, and that should really start steering the game to his favor.
It should. It should. We'll see if it all works out, Cotton. It's a very, very dangerous opportunity here. But he's got to make a move quick, because he's been down pretty much the entire time in terms of tickets. No, he's charging forward regardless. I do not agree with this, Cotton.
No, he really should have rated fully off map.
Watch the off map come in and get hit by some crazy line of sight thing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit forward. You're going to blow up the front.
But not even that. I mean, I understand why he's putting it there. I was actually just thinking about the speed of the troops, because 20 seconds, and these guys have that, the nice little rinky-dink foot slogging speed of their chevron legs. But I think my concern... Ooh, interesting. SG-43 unmasks itself, MG-34 engages. I was just thinking about whether or not they had enough time to cover that distance. They actually might have just enough time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the Matildas is going to avoid that off-map artillery strike. Durand Run's going to be coming on round, maybe get a hit. Otto 105 off-map. Oh, and... he lost it and he only got one barrage. Not exactly ideal, yeah.
And so far, it's not the best barrage either. He is back to a 12-12, so that's a positive point. But that's about the only positive point I can make a comment about here so far.
Yeah. I feel like once this barrage is over, he will be able to move up his troops and get, that first little defense line of the town. But still, his troops do have some anti-tank, including bazookas.
Yes.
So I think the bazooka troops, if they get into a position, can probably finish off the Matildas.
Also, please, it's a Raccavetto, which for some reason I just turned into kind of an Italian AT weapon as opposed to a Hungarian one, but yeah.
It's something.
It is. It's certainly something. Now, what that something is, I'm not 100% sure, but it certainly is something. Down south, in the meantime, there actually has been minor scruffles over here. Maybe a spot of bother or two. Even more so as the 152 just starts obliterating different parts of the forest, looking for something. As to what that is, I'm not 100% sure. But attack groundings have been happening. And Tango Thessaloniki's are moving forward to start taking out some of the out pickets over here for the Hungarians. So, they're heavy tanks. I don't know if they really want to stay there for the long term.
Yeah, it's honestly a very weird call out and positioning for those heavy tanks. That's a lot of bloody firepower, right? Yeah, but they're not really in good position, first off being close quarters, to affect the battle. And really, even though, of course, being out in the open is scary, even as a heavy tank, you think it'd be somewhere a little bit up north a bit, so you can actually use our long range to your advantage.
I think he's scared of the ISU and the SU.
Oh, yeah.
As you saw before, I mean, he's lost 2 heavy tanks to long-distance sniping. I understand that, being a little bit kind of cautious about that.
Indeed. No, that's a very good point. But what's he going to do with the tanks now? He needs more infantry, more than anything down south, to try to, make sure his tanks don't get bazookaed.
You're absolutely correct on that. Actually, I was watching to the northern side here as well. We actually did just see an ammo explosion, I think on, was it 122 or was it an Su-85? Either way, there's an ammo explosion on the northern side. Su-85s, actually, there's a ton of Luftwaffe material. Ju-88's coming on and obliterating some material. We'll see bombs away, tons of bombs away. We might see at least some suppression over here. Nope, they're dropping long.
Mm-hmm. Doing okay, forcing some of those Su-85s back for the time being. And we're seeing another decent push here from Khers with all his Hungarian troops to try to retake that hill. And honestly, even though Stardekk is losing his position, he's losing it with dignity. He doesn't have a whole lot of troops here, but he's forced Khers to invest a heavy amount of points to dig him out of his hilltop position. And it's working well for him. He's got that 13-10. We're almost into C phase here, and the rest of the map is still pretty comfortably in his position. He's not really threatened much anywhere else.
Well, the kind of curious thing is that there wouldn't have needed to have been such a heavy investment if that artillery strike had been dropped 150 meters west.
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe that 105 shell barrage, drop it a little bit further to the west, it's a completely different game. But, hindsight is 20/20 and God vision is more like 25.
Yeah.
So, very, very harsh of me to say. Now, down south, you actually are seeing some infantry being kind of pushed up together, but there's also some Soviets being thrown in here as well as kind of a scouting force. And I think both the Panther and the Tiger and that Nimrod kind of sitting in that back seat there. These guys, like you said, bit of a wasted investment here.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably enjoying the serene countryside as, well, 105mm cells explode around them. It really, increases the ambience in Belarusia. Yeah, this feels like, just a race of points, like you said.
Yeah, when you're looking at it like a 90 seconds worth of income, it's kind of a curious thing to see it deployed so passively. Mm-hmm. Now, the 149 artillery piece, that piece over here is actually, well, it's setting up to be rather scrumptious. It's been pretty good so far. It's got a lot of suppression. It's got a lot of just like unit model kills. Hasn't picked off any squads yet, but you know what? If he keeps that Razvedka suppressed, that's a good thing for them. He's got to hurry back though, because yeah, there we go. Okay, very, very lucky for the Tiger and the Panther. They get to see them first. Yeah,
very effective strikes, especially with how choke pointy that area of the map can be. He got some very good hits.
Speaking of strikes, the 203 is actually going to have a TOT coming down in 4 seconds on that town on the hillside. If you want to check that out.
Ooh, that's so juicy.
Beautifully placed. Now, first shell tells you everything you need to know about this. Oh, okay, so we'll see about the limits on this one. More suppression than kill thus far, but regardless, well struck.
Yeah, honestly, for Stardekk, he's just buying time on this hill. I think eventually he's going to get pissed off it just due to sheer rate of numbers, but he has a decent second defensive line. That one flag is in a pretty good geographical position for him to hold. If he can just keep forcing Khers to spend a lot of manpower here to try to take it, with that 13-11, especially in the sea phase where both sides have been pouring comes, it works well for him.
But down south, actually, we're seeing the Tiger shifted on forward. Is the Panther dead? No, the Panther's still alive. But looking down south, you actually are seeing the Tiger is engaging T-3476s and Su-76Is. This force is actually turning slowly into a Hungarian position. They're hungry for more.
Yeah. It's dangerous to use the heavy tanks in this engagement, but frankly, he needs to get some bloody value out of him. And he is actually getting value, forcing the T-34 and the Su-76I back for the time being. And he has a lot of infantry to cover in front, so it shouldn't get bazookaed. And if he can take his position, he can, taking out one...
You know what will happen? They're going to get Katyushas. Little Katya is actually going to speak. We see 2 of them are going to start to engage right now.
Oh,
holding fire! No, fire, please!
No, he's trying to sync him up. I kind of like it, actually. And looking at the spread patterns, I know, he missed micro. And he's going to hit the Tiger, but most of the infantry's out of the area.
Meanwhile, to the northern side, ME-210 doing a nice little artillery strike. A second 203 being dropped into that town. This one's even juicier than the first one. Yep, well done there. But the little Katya is speaking. I have to see what she has to say. And it was too late.
Yeah.
He might get
one Tiger's not going to enjoy it, that's for sure.
He might get a lucky kill, he might not. Well, and I do love the fact that Nimrod has now showed himself to be as wonderful as it is. Because the PE-3 is going to come on in, and Nimrod should be able to at least get some panic. No. And the infantry blob falls apart here. Very well done.
Yeah, buying Stardekk, once again, valuable time. He really just has to play in the defense. There's not a whole lot he gained from pushing down south, as there's a decent geographical distance between him and the next flag. So he can just throw in, Tango Distant Idki, CQC tanks, and just make it a pain in the ass to trade. Oh, well, actually, Khers is meant to, get that 13-11. I believe that's because of up north. He has to manage to flip that flag. And all the way far up north, he's close again to re-flipping that flag to his side.
Yes, he is. Now, the mildly amusing thing behind this is that even though they're 13-11, apparently he was far enough behind that they were like, we don't know how long it's going to take before he actually loses, but we're not going to calculate it. We'll deal with that later. Mm-hmm. But there is a little bit of Soviet infantry being deployed aggressively to kind of go and take this back. Thing is that now it's the Soviets' turn to pay the cost of blood.
Yeah. There's all those Panzer forces to be able to trade quite effectively, and there's really not a whole lot here up north. Same thing for Khers as well in terms of infantry, but it's really coming down to the tank fire superiority at this point.
It is. Also, the cross-map 149 shells, impressive, a little bit less destructive than I think that he might have hoped, but that's what happens, I suppose. Down south, we actually are seeing successful shove. These Tuzers over here, the Tuzer Tits, are able to push back the Tankos, at least for the moment. Now, I would like to see the Panther and the Nimrod maybe moved another 200 meters east to maybe get some long-distance kind of chicanery against T-34 if he kind of moves around the forest. But, unfortunately, it's not going to be happening here. So, Nimrod moving forward. Panther apparently content to just kind of sit back and browse during the heat of this particular day.
Yeah, he's letting the Tiger do all the fun. Honestly, kind of actually a smart move, all jokes aside, because all you really need is like one heavy tank on the front line to make a difference. So you're just kind of hedging your bets. Tiger eventually gets blown up, and the Panther's like, guess I'll be the heavy tank now. Technically I'm an MBT. Who knows what to really classify the Panzer? You can get into hour-long arguments over that. So let's just keep it as a heavy tank.
It feels like you've been very frisky this week in terms of lecture series.
And
I think at some point we need to have Rang After Dark, a late-night lecture series combining all the fun, flame, and destruction we can lay our hands on. But we'll put that in the back burner for right now to keep the whole flame joke going. It is 13-11 in the meantime. And despite ME-210s and Ju-88s dropping bombs, the northern position continues to hold strong. Although I think we might see a crumbling here at long last. The Katyushas being rotated, but they don't have any munitions.
Yeah, he does have a supply truck up north here, which I believe is... Oh yeah, supply truck's actually going all the way to the front, so... Yeah. Oh no, it's going to the front to the Katyushas. Oh, because the Katyushas are getting quite close here, which makes sense for rocket artillery. But no, you're right. Khers is slowly turning his back to his favor. I mean, you're seeing just up north there's more blue stuff than there's red stuff, because he's been actually trading effectively.
Now, if only he has some more artillery. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any more artillery. He had 2 pieces, and they have both gone to the great firing range in the sky at this point. Actually, that's not true. Forgive me. The 149 is still down south, but yeah. I'm waiting. I want to have more. Always more. But the 149 over here, again, another unsung hero. I feel like, again, on-map artillery doesn't get the press it deserves. Full stop.
No, you're right. Especially heavy artillery guns like that, because that 149 is pretty cost-effective in regards to just the amount of stuff you can kill and just the amount of pressure it can put on the map. Especially once you get to these grind fights where the enemy's just a big blob of infantry, having a big honking shell drop on top of them is a good way to motivate them to leave their current position.
I think the fascinating thing for me is going to be what happens. Ooh, P4 goes down.
Ooh, that was tight. That was perfect hit.
I want to see what happens if the Katyushas actually get caught out. Because I think that could potentially happen here.
Yeah. It's going to come down to this big infantry spam. Of course, Hungarian infantry, absolute champs, especially the second Panzer runs. Yeah, they get MG42s, which is quite nice. But, yeah, I was going to say, the problem right now is that most of infantry is stunned, so this is going to give Stardekk a vital time to bring in reinforcements to set up the next defensive line on the hill.
Well, while he's setting the next defensive line on the hill, down south, there's still technically, I think the Tiger could just shift around, the Panther could shift on through, and for the moment, yes, there's an ISU 122, and there's also an SU-85 being brought forward, but there's an opportunity.
There is. He's just waiting for his pioneer troops to come on in and clear out that forest before making any serious commitment.
I see. Makes sense, yeah. SU-76 in the meantime is going to go and loft shells up on top of that kind of northern hill. We are going to see more ME-210 chicanery. Yes, where are they going for this time? They're going after the T-34-76. I suppose I understand that. It's not my first target priority here, but I suppose it makes sense.
Yeah, just trying to get out the battlefield, but it's decent amount of anti-air here. One is forced to fall back. The second one is going to get some... Oh, it doesn't even get the bombs off.
Nope.
A shame.
Nope. So, yeah, the weird thing is the criticals take you pretty much immediately up to 100% stunning. So, Starkey DPs do go down over here just to the south of the river. So the Arkansas over here getting closer and closer and closer. And I'm actually kind of surprised. Oh no, they're still technically reloading. Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Take a bloody long time to get those rockets back in order. And yeah, those Katyusas are kind of useless now. Because the position has been lost pretty much on the hill. It's that one stroke of DP near the Tanko Desinitki, which is all that's left. We've got Panzer IVs here, reinforcements, more Hungarian troops to push their way through. Yeah, Khers is finally going to be able to take his hill.
Yes, he is. I was actually kind of wondering to a certain extent if the Katyushas would have just been used as an opportunity to put pressure to kind of stop the bleeding, so to speak. Especially as the PE-3 comes right back in and just gets more kills. So really, really well done there. Checking in down south, the infantry is folded as well. Panther has been shifted up and around. I don't know... The ISU is taking a very southerly position. He's trying to get sneaky peeky eyes on that Tiger.
Yeah. He's going to get into a pretty good defensive position in that light forest, and that Panther's also in a good spot as well. He can move himself up a little bit in that light forest and basically have a nice angle of fire to cover that road. Not so much as an offensive measure, but more of a defensive fire to stop reinforcements.
Well, it seems like the Tiger can somehow see the ISU. He's going to get first shot as well. It's going to tell us everything about this engagement. Yep. And the Tiger is now extinct. We will see no more of their like on this particular battlefield, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. All gone. Rest in peace.
The Caduceus, in the meantime, having suckled at the teat of the armory, have now bolting for the hills, and I think it's going to fall back across the river, turn around, and then fire rockets at the front line again.
You see, when they were driving back, they raved over to the stroke of DP, like, hey, we did our job, guys, see ya. And they're like, great, you did nothing. And they just drove off. It's like, you just took all us bastards.
Exactly. We have no ammunition, we just gave it to all the freaking Katyushas. Those Katyushas, just poor reload time, they probably could have made a pretty decent impact, at least slowing down Khers' kill push here, but I think the writing's pretty much on the wall. Khers is at 15-9, and he is just, from a rather rocky start, this is now traded very effectively. Well, the weird thing here, too, is that Katyusha's actually aiming to the northern side. And it's not because he wants to be able to actually take the position back. He's not going to take the position back. This is a stopgap measure. He's afraid.
Sword's defense to stall time, but he's now in a position where he needs to make a major offense, and yeah, it just doesn't happen at this point in the match. The reserves have been tapped.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what you expect to hear is, yes, we use tube artillery as a defensive measure. That's when you know things are not going well. Tiger did go down to the south. The ISU is starting to engage in the Panther and kills the Panther as well, because of course he does. Question here is, can the Nimrod technically kill him? And the technical answer is yes, he technically can. Will he?
He
Probably
can.
Not. But a second Nimrod, when you get more than one Nimrod together, that's what it is, you have a chance.
There we go. But Khers can just pretty much sit on this 15-9. Do you want to take us to a ×2 at 15-30?
It sounds like a plan.
×2.
Panther to the northern side is kind of chilling, doing its thing. I almost do want to see the ISU get taken out by the Nimrod. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think Stardekk's going to be silly enough to get there within 200 meters, which is a shame. Because the Nimrod has the same bloody rocket breech-loaded, or muzzle-loaded rocket the Pack 36 has.
Yeah, kind of like going out for kind of thing.
Yeah. I just the image of like probably a gunner has to like climb up onto the gun and just like slap it in the front.
Yeah, and then he's got to go kiss it, paint it yellow, and pray that it doesn't explode before he fires the shell.
Safety measures.
Yeah, like, is there anything more orky than, yeah, you know what? This is not killy enough. Let's go and put something else on the front of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there we go. Slutsk East, by the way, not Orchard East. Excuse me, folks. But Slutsk East over here does finish with the Fox saying victory, and Stardekk unfortunately losing his crown. KD, not too much difference, although we did see that Khers definitely had some friendly fire.
Oh yeah. Such is the joys of Eastern Front. And then looking at kills here, Jockey SVT. Where's the ISU? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
And he lived to the end of the war.
Yeah, good for him. Lived happily ever after in the Soviet Union.
The Tiger on the other side is similarly kind of killy, although at the same time this is one that was in the center early on and then getting picked off by the ISU. So, ooh, the 149. 4 kills right there. Well done. Shockingly enough, Khers didn't have a lot of standout kind of units. It just was an overall ability to just kind of do relatively well.
Yeah, like the Hungarian infantry are more... I mean, they do have some killy firepower, but they're more there to just absorb fire due to their big, beefy nature. And he just slowly but surely traded efficiently, so good job.
Indeed. Well done, well done. Any final thoughts there, sir?
No.
Well, folks, in that particular case then, until next time, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.